outro. Hey guys, welcome to the show. So good to have you here for another episode. This is Gavin. I'm joined by my good buddy
Craig. We're here to talk about some stuff we made each other do.
Yeah, and that's what we do here on this show. We introduce each other to new things, or
old things.
New old things, as they say.
New old things.
You can teach an old dog some new tricks, and that's what we're hoping. We're just some guys that, climbing around that 40 bracket. And, there might have been some cool shit we missed along the way. So we thought the cool idea of this show would be to introduce each other to things that maybe we missed. And so far, that's what's happening.
That's right. That's right.
So we got a great show for you in store this evening. This is episode 6. We are coming
episodes
at
1
you.
through 5 were stellar.
Prequels to this episode. They had a lot more CGI than this episode does, so we're kind of getting back to the basics, the nitty gritty, if you will.
Nuts and bolts.
So, first off, how's it going? You making it through the night?
I am, yes. Yeah, did great. I saw a little Brad Paisley concert on PBS.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
If you just joined us for the first time, we are based out of the Asheville, North Carolina area. So
Correct.
We have UNC TV, and there was a brilliant concert going of Brad Paisley playing at the University of West Virginia, maybe?
Yes.
Something like that. Their football pep rally, it looked like. I don't really know what was going on. We had the volume down, but he was shredding it. He had a Paisley guitar. There was Jeremiah Johnson.
He had very, short sleeves that showed off the guns.
Yeah. Number 15, or was it 5?
15, yeah, 15.
Yeah.
And it was a weird font.
Mm-hmm.
It was like snake-like.
It wasn't your average Jersey font.
No, it was very fancy.
And, I guess they're big fans of, and for some reason the dude from Red Hot Chili Peppers was talking to him.
Yeah, but which dude was it?
As the drummer from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And also known as Will Ferrell. And they were having a great time. There was a Brad Paisley bobblehead running around.
He was huge.
There's cheerleaders.
He was a human bobblehead. Yeah, it wasn't good.
So if you paid to see that Brad Paisley show, we want to hear about it in the thread. But that's a later...
and also...
It sucked so bad.
It's horrible.
And we had the volume down. So
it was terrible.
Imagine how bad it would have
really
been
depressing
if the volume had been up.
God. Also, before that happened, I was watching your TV, which has the extra Ds.
Yeah.
I just have regular D at home, but you have the HDs.
It's a double D TV.
Yes, it was double D. And there was a sitcom on it. Sitcoms are really depressing with no sound. And with the extra Ds... people have really prominent teeth.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
Big teeth, real, lots of pores. You can see all the bad skin.
And you've got the digital converter box, which I have. So there's weird skips. Every once in a while you're like, whoa, what just happened? Yeah, so none of this is on topic.
Nah, but it's being stored away because maybe we'll assign each other a Brad Paisley album.
Oh my God.
I mean, nobody said we're going to assign something that we like, it seems on the surface we're like, you should hear this album, man, it's real good. But maybe there's some landmines in this experiment.
I need to actually borrow this pen because...
we might just try to trip each other up. We're being nice here in the beginning. We're trying to throw, I think, some softballs. Maybe not. Maybe Craig's going to unload here and be like, I knew that graphic novel was crap, and I just wanted you to suffer through it too. So, let's kind of give them the table of contents of what they're in store for this evening. We got, let's see. Well, just to give you some context clues, our finale, we try to keep the finale local. And what we did is the good old Ingles is our local grocery store.
Yep.
Huge shout out to Ingles.
That's right, Bob, God rest his soul.
Great man.
He's like a creepy, pale, redheaded Count Chocula.
Google him.
He is a sex lord.
Bob Ingles. And he's built a dynasty here. He's a local legend. And great grocery store. And what you can do is mix and match beers, semi-local. And we try to keep them local, but I think in the end, they were kind of overpicked on a Friday night, so we just went with North Carolina.
we may have waited a little too long.
Yeah, so next time maybe we'll hone it in. But we got a lot of good locals and names that we're familiar with that we'll share with you. But what we did is mix and match 6-packs for each other. And we've been drinking them throughout the night, if you can't tell from our calm demeanor and overall coolness.
That's right. Our incredible articulate conversation.
Yeah. So we got some beers we're going to recap. Local beers, as everyone's into craft beers these days.
Oh yes, and, you can't throw a rock without hitting a craft beer.
So we're gonna talk
or
some
a Subaru
finale. Subarus and craft beers.
That's right, just everywhere.
Everyone thinks Asheville's about like hippies and bluegrass or whatever, but no, craft beers and Subarus.
That's all we got.
That's a country song. That's a Brad Paisley country song.
Beers.
Learn a Subaru. Guitar riff and a song for you.
Oh.
Anyway, so we got beers. We're going to recap at the finale.
Yes.
We got some visual medias. We assigned each other this week TV shows. We're just doing pilot episodes. So these are series we picked this time, and we did the first episode. Craig assigned to me the show
Last Man on Earth.
Okay. And,
starring a guy who people might know.
Yes.
His name I can't remember at the moment.
Will Forte?
Will Forte. I was going to say Will Ferrell. I was like, it's not his name.
Might as well be. SNL alumni as well. And Will Forte, indeed. And
Gavin assigned to me
the OA
on Netflix.
Very mysterious new Netflix original, I believe. I think it is. Yeah, I think it's made exclusively for Netflix. And then we branched off from visual stuff. I gave a assignment to Craig, the album by
Tim by The Replacements.
Classic album in a sense.
Oh, for sure.
Well, I'll just go ahead. I'm like, I don't want to sound biased, but
it's not crap. If you think it's crap, you're wrong, idiot.
But Tim by The Replacements, like you said, and Craig assigned to me Sentry, the Marvel graphic novel, which I have many questions about, but I enjoyed thoroughly. A big, solid graphic that qualifies as a graphic novel, right?
Yeah, it's a big fat.
It's a nice fat
compilation. Yeah.
Yeah, so this isn't like your little 7-Eleven.
No.
Bullshit comic.
It's at least a half-inch thick.
Yeah.
There's stuff happening.
You can at least kill a cockroach with that.
Yes, there's definitely.
Like a Florida bug.
It's got layers and themes and...
For sure.
Backstory.
Well, shall we dive in?
Let's do it.
Let's start with the shows, or the TV shows.
Okay.
Let's see. You want to go first?
I would be glad to go first.
All right. So the OA, episode 1.
Okay.
Very curious what you thought.
You assigned this to me probably 2 weeks ago or so. And I just got around to watching it during a bout of insomnia about 2 days ago.
Nice.
Because I tried a couple of times and like this is... You know what, folks? If Netflix wants to sponsor us,
it's like the whole episode. This whole podcast is like fishing for sponsors.
Yes, I
or
love
craft
Netflix.
beers.
I use it almost every day, and it's fantastic. Occasionally, it doesn't work correctly, and you'll try to load something and it won't play. But that's just, that's not Netflix. That's just the internet's. I watched it at about 3 a.m.
Wow.
After having only a few hours of sleep. And I will say, my initial thoughts were, number one, it's weirdly disturbing. Like, nothing really crazy happens. It's not like, there's, like, usually when something is disturbing and kind of sets you off, like something horrible has happened, like there's like a pedophile or there's a whatever. But there's none of that. But like there's just like they strike this like perfect balance of you understand what the characters are saying, but you don't really understand the narrative. Like you don't like what is happening. I don't know. I don't know what the story is. I don't know what's happening, but it's something weird. And then, like, in the middle, like, I've never before watched 2/3 of something, half of something, and then they're just like, hey, here's the credits.
Yeah.
That was, like, inspired. Like,
wasn't that? How did you feel about it? That was so weird.
Like when it happened, I don't even know. Like thinking back on it, because you normally
it's literally like the last 15 minutes. I think the credits like bust in, like with the title and like actual credits.
Yeah, and normally like you just kind of ignore the credits. So I don't even know if they had like a typical credits at the beginning. I assume not, because they bothered to put them in later. But like it is an inspired sort of like, because narratively in the story, she has just asked all the characters that you're watching, I need you to close your eyes and trust in me and pretend you believe in me long enough to listen to this story. And then, boom, the credits happen.
The story.
And that, like, it seats you as the viewer as a sixth, like, in the story, spoiler alert for the OA.
Yeah, I guess we'll go out and say, like, spoilers for all these. Most of them, like, other than the OA, I think everything's, like, at least 3 years old.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, how many spoilers are there?
Spoilers, because of that saying.
But, like, you just... Like, she has just said, explicitly to the other 5 people that she has gathered, I need you to trust in me, and if you can't trust in me, I need you to pretend you do, and close your eyes, and listen to this story. And she starts telling the story, and then, boom, these very sort of austere, like, white over sort of an icy background, shot
titles
like start and like you are just at the same time you are extremely aware, whoa, that's weird, there are credits at the end of a show. And yet it's the beginning of something.
And I want to say it's not even like the title. Maybe the first one's the title of the show, like OA, but then it's like Netflix, so it really kind of pulls you out.
And you're just
like, what the fuck?
This is very weird. But you become like sort of like very aware you're listening to a story, and that is like topical or interesting to watching that, because she has just asked you to listen to a story. Yeah. Like it is like a very, very clever sort of narrative sort of construction that somebody said, well, that's where we should put the credits.
Yeah, it's creative. Like I liked it.
It is really, like, it makes you sort of aware that you're watching a show, but at the same time makes you a part of the show. Like, because, like I said,
that's dangerous, because you don't want to like pull, when you get into like a movie or something, you don't want to be like pulled out of it that drastically, but at the same time it was like, this is the start of this actual story, and
like,
you're like,
all the rest of the stuff that has preceded this. So that I thought was like, that is my takeaway from the first. I haven't watched subsequent episodes, but like that is my takeaway. That is like really, really clever and very like, it sucks you in and makes you aware in sort of a removed sense, almost like when you dream. There's the you that's in the dream and you that's watching the dream. Like it kind of makes you do that while you're watching the show, and that's like, and I haven't seen the rest of the series, so I mean, it could go on to,
and it's like
completely
fairly short. I think 8 episodes, and since like even like telling you this is the one you need to watch for the podcast, like I've watched the whole series, and it definitely gets weird, and like it's almost harder to not like bring up more spoiler shit in the sense of it's just like, oh, that's what that was all about, but like. Yeah, there's a lot happens, because they don't really answer anything in that first episode, do they? They just basically, the quick synopsis, I guess, would just be a young girl leaves, or her parents would think that she's abducted, I guess, is what they're leading towards. She disappears, like, I guess she's around 18, 17.
Yeah, and she's blind.
Yeah, blind, and like disappears, comes back, they find her because she like tried to jump off a bridge. Like that's the very first shot is like the bridge in, like, and she's in the hospital, and they track it down and figure out that it's this girl that disappeared, and now she has sight, like she can see again, and it's like, what the fuck? And she has scars all over her back that you
Weird
don't know
scars,
about. Yeah, not like just normal scars. They're like hieroglyphics almost. You know?
And she talks about like having died, countless times.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and she's obsessed with somebody who you don't get really introduced to.
Yeah. What do you think of Football Boy that she pulled up on the thing? Did you make? What do you think his deal is?
I like, my thought is, just from what you see, is that she somehow. She was dead somehow, and he was sort of dead somehow because he was in a coma, and they knew each other in some other plane
dimensions
or dimension or reality or something. Yeah. But there's really like it's so like you really all they do is raise questions. There are no answered questions in the first episode whatsoever. So who knows?
It could be anything.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's curious. And
I will say that there was something like it was kind of disturbing. Like, and it might just be because I am an insomniac, and I was watching it at 2:30 in the morning after not getting enough sleep. But there was just something about it that I just like afterwards. I was just felt unsettled. Like I don't know what I just saw, and I don't know where it's going.
Was it because of Herschel? Did you recognize that her dad is Herschel?
Herschel! He gets his leg cut off.
Herschel from Walking Dead.
Yeah, he's going to be up to something. He's going to be like...
Herschel's back.
He's going to be like a weird pedophile
or just a sweet old man trying to make...
I just love my daughter.
I'm just going to do right by everybody. Mm-hmm. Do you think he's our generation... Or not our generation's, but whatever the current generation's version of Wilford Brimley?
Ooh.
Do you think he's becoming that?
Man, if he ends up doing some sort of
diabetes commercial.
Yes, diabetes, and he's real surly about it. Then yes, God damn it, check your blood sugar.
Herschel taking that on,
you dumb shits.
And Phyllis is in it too. Did you ever watch The American Office?
No. Yeah, Shanna's seen it.
She's the teacher. I think they introduced her in the first episode, right? The teacher that
yes. Now I have seen her in other things.
Yeah.
Yes. I was actually one of my takeaways from the first episode is that like I've seen her in other things. If you've seen the first episode of the OA, then you recognize Phyllis almost certainly.
She does like where she goes in to be this fake mom, right? That's that
yes.
Like she goes. That's how they meet.
The teacher. I mean, like it is the most like, and only she didn't have in terms of minutes, like a huge part in that series. But it is like the most significant part that actress has ever.
Yeah, she's pretty prominent through the whole series too. She's in there.
Like it's really interesting that she's the sort of part of the story is that. The OA, the blind woman who comes back maybe from the dead, she needs 5 people who are young and flexible. She says, I think
strong and flexible.
Strong and flexible, and she only has 4. And then this teacher shows up, and like it is like she's by far the most interesting character because she is an adult and she's not. Like the young guy.
Yeah, the shitty kid.
Oh my God, he is like...
He's perfect.
Totally unlikable. God, you just want to find that kid and beat him with a baseball bat. He's
some good casting, isn't it?
Yeah, he's great in it.
He's totally the shitty kid that you would expect from a high school because he like punches the other kid
in the fucking throat. Like, you're just like, you suck, man.
Well, that's what I love too. That was like a part that I really liked when she said strong and flexible. You automatically think like athletic and like fit and stuff. And then when you see that group show up that ends up being the 5 people that are going to sit there and talk to her, you're like, oh, and she doesn't seem to have a problem with it. Mm-hmm. Like you're like, well, maybe it means like emotional and like mentally strong too. It doesn't have to be
right on
the surface. I was just like, oh, they have to be like strong. How are these people gonna?
Yeah,
like Phyllis gonna like deliver any like portals to the unknown,
right? And there's that one girl who is like very frail looking.
Yeah, there's like a little trans girl.
Yeah, exactly.
And and then there's like another kid that's like, the aspiring, like, I don't know, he's trying to go off to school. I don't know if that's come up yet or not, but he's just kind of the smart one. They're all there when that drug deal goes bad or whatever. Yeah, so they're all
involved other than the teacher.
Yeah, that scene. So they're all like the main core, I guess. But yeah, well, pretty cool. Real quick note too, the main chick, we didn't even figure this out till like the end of the episode or something. That was driving me crazy, and I Googled it, but turns out Britt Marling is the blonde girl. Mm-hmm. She like wrote it, produced it, and helped like put the whole show together. Yeah. So she's like really. But then even better was that it turned out she looked like really familiar to us, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And we looked it up, and there's a movie called Another Earth, and I babble about it all the time to all our friends. I don't know if I've even mentioned it to you or not, but it's like one of those cool, it's like a super indie sci-fi movie, but it's like one of those kind of Gattaca sci-fi movies where it's like real but sci-fi still. The whole quick premise is like there's a whole planet that enters our solar system, and like it's literally another Earth, and we contact them. Whoa. And we find out that everybody has like a doppelganger in a sense on that planet. What? So like that girl, the star that from this show, is a girl that got like in a drunk driving accident and killed somebody on our Earth. So she writes this whole petition to be like the first volunteer to send over to the other Earth just to see like if she did the same mistakes and shit over there. So like this it's fucking great. Like I might make that another assignment one, but like that
it's
girl,
a movie?
Yeah, it's like a movie, and I think she had like a big hand in making that movie too. So these like she's like one of these like super involved performer. She's not just the actress.
She looks real familiar to me, but I can't put my finger on anything I've seen.
So I'm like, she's totally 2 for 2 as far as
she's probably in Friends.
Yeah, cameo on Friends. Cool. Well, do you think you'll watch any other episodes? Do you think
I would. I like the part that is tough for me. It was kind of disturbing because towards the end of the episode, there's this part where she post credits, which is way towards the end, she starts telling this story about this little girl who loses her sight.
Yeah.
And I have a daughter who is young, and there was something like just very disturbing about that to me. Like it's hard to put my finger.
Drowned to death.
It was just like unsettling. So I simultaneously am afraid to watch more and want to know what happens and want to watch more.
Well, she grows up quick. I think like in the next episode, she's already not a kid anymore. So
okay.
So there's no more weird kid shit. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious to see what you think. But it's definitely one of those ones that takes a while. It takes the whole like series to unfurl, basically. Yeah. But
8 episodes or so.
Yeah, so it's doable, but at the same time, and it leaves a lot of questions unanswered at the whole end of the series. But at the same time,
want to have a second season. So.
But they kind of wrap it up in a sense where if there isn't another, you could be happy with it.
Right.
So it's not like Lost or something where it's just like
where you're just like
totally fucking making it up as they go. Cool. Well, maybe we should move on.
All right.
Let's see. My show that I watched, The Last Man on Earth.
The Last Man on Earth. Will Forte.
And it was cool. It was it's one I'd seen like half an episode. I'd stumbled across on Netflix or network TV. Regularly, but I think they're on like season 2 or 3 maybe by this time, so I had no clue. I roughly had heard some like just good things about it, but hadn't watched it, didn't really know the premise or anything.
It's not like a hard sci-fi.
No.
More of a comedy.
Definitely a lot lighter, even though the subject matter might not be. It was really weird because it's like just right out of the gate. Quick synopsis is literally the last dude on Earth, last human on Earth is how it starts.
As far as he knows,
And I thought it was great just in like a light-hearted Walking Dead way, where it was like it takes like the comical approach in a sense. So it's like it's good TV comedy in a sense, like very light. You're not going to stress out over it or ain't nothing too troubling. But at the same time, it was fun to watch. And like the best part was just that he just comes out blazing with like everything you would do in like a really like gluttonous like fuck it. I'm the last.
Probably gonna die tomorrow.
Yeah, like the opening scenes. I think they cut out in like the first 5 minutes are just him like marking out states like where he's traveling around the whole like U.S. just seeing if anybody else is left alive, and it's like nope. So he crosses out of state. Nope. Somehow he settles down in Tucson, and like. It's great because it's like it really just taps into everybody's personal like, well, fuck it, I'm the last person. What am I gonna do? So he's like, as he's done all this traveling, he's like collected all these like great artworks and like artifacts, and he basically just like takes over some rich dude's house in Arizona and like decorates it with like Van Gogh pictures and shit, and like quickly loses his shit. Yeah, he's got this full caveman beard going, and he's just like blowing his nose on the Constitution at a certain point because he really doesn't give a fuck. And there's definitely like that humorous side of seeing every like just super silly thing that you would do, like where he raids the grocery store and he just like purposefully like rams the stack of cans over and like, grabs all the liquor, and he makes a margarita baby pool. Did you see that? No. Or he just fills a giant baby pool, which I think we've probably even talked about every beach trip we've taken together. He's like where he fills up a whole baby pool like of an actual margarita, and he just lays in it and kind of drinks it, and then like it's just
I have actually been to a birthday party where there were turtle pools, sitting, like 3 or 4 turtle pools sitting around. We made a bunch of purple Jesus,
nice,
and I got there and people were in the pools like drinking the pool from their own crotch, and they're like, "Hey, get in!" And I was like, "You know what? I'm good."
It's one of those moments, things you always think about, but if you ever were like the last dude on Earth, that would
why
be
not?
the fucking time
That's
to
the
do
time,
it for sure. Yeah, and there's a scene where he's like, he vocally is opening like $1,000 bottle of wine. He's like, $1,000 bottle of wine, and he takes like squeezed cheese and puts it in the wine, and he's like, that makes it better. Just totally is like a whatever, I don't give a fuck anymore kind of thing, but yeah, so I don't know. I think it was cool just to see that. And I guess about 20 minutes into it, he stumbles, like he's ready to kill himself. He's like, this is horrible. Like he falls in love with a mannequin because he's just like so desperate for a woman and stuff. And he like tries to like have this whole conversation with a mannequin. She falls apart when he grabs her.
That also happens in I Am Legend.
And Mannequin, the movie.
And Mannequin, the movie. Yeah.
I Am Legend, he does that?
I Am Legend, that he goes into a grocery store full of mannequins and he's like, please talk to me.
Oh, man.
You're like, oh, come on, Will Smith, don't be sad.
Keep your shit together.
Yeah, come on, you got a dog.
Yeah, and there's kind of a funny thing where he references Castaway, where he he's like, what a dipshit to like Tom Hanks like talking to the volleyball, but then like 2 scenes later he's got like a whole bar, like an empty bar full of like 50 like tennis balls and volleyballs. He's like, what do you think, Gary? You want a shot? Come on, nobody's drinking with me. And just totally losing his shit. So it's pretty conveyed like in a great humorous way for sure in that way. But yeah, like 20 minutes in, as he's about to kill himself, he sees out of the corner of his eyes he's going to drive a truck into a big rock and kill himself. And he sees, I guess her name's Kristen Sachel, I believe. It's the chick from Flight of the Conchords.
Oh,
Mel.
she's fantastic.
Yeah.
I always think it was Mel. I've never once thought that she was not named Mel.
Yeah. And, so he's just like, holy shit, it's a woman, it's a human. And he's so excited, but like, as life would have it, like they just totally clash right off the bat, where she's just like super fucking annoying. They don't click, and it's pretty awesome and like a great like just sitcom-y like dynamic way where they go to like get more stuff out of a store and she won't let him park in the handicap spot. He's like, there's no one left on this fucking planet, let me park in the handicap. He just drives the truck through the window to piss her off, you know. There's a lot of that. And like she's trying to grow a garden. He's like, what the fuck's the point, we have everything. And finally he gives in and he helps her grow it. And there's like this great scene where he's like yeah, I don't know. Something must have happened in the middle of the night because he gave in and helped her, fix the water to make the garden. But then, like, she's like, "Wow, that was a real miracle." And he's like, "But it was me, right? It took a lot of work to fix that garden." Like, totally still wants credit for it. So he's like the sleazy dude or whatever. And then it kind of wraps up the episode with her. Like being, well, we should repopulate the world, and he's like, yeah, and they're both dying to have sex, but he can't stand her, and vice versa for the most part. And she's like, all right, well, let's do it, and she finally agrees to it, but she's like, but we need to be married first. He's like, it doesn't matter, we're the last people. And then he's like, fine. She's like, well, if it doesn't matter, you should marry me. And he's like, fine. And he's like, gets engaged to her in the last scene. So I'm curious to see where it goes. I don't know.
Would you what am I trying to say?
Only
is it worthy of watching episode 2? Like,
But yeah, I didn't have anything against it in the sense. It was very TV comedy in a sense.
Yes.
It was like very throwaway kind of thing, Like, I think it would be better if it was a half-hour show. Like, the fact that it was
it
an hour was like... and maybe, I don't know, they do trim them down or something, but it seems a little long and just kind of like, all right. It's very SNL. It has a lot of,
pulling the curtain aside, we assigned each other these things, and I was thinking, there's a handful of shows I might assign Gavin, and I asked my wife, I was like, well, this or this. She's like, oh, yeah, Last Man on Earth is, I can't even remember what the other two were. Right. She's like, well, he'd probably like Last Man on Earth best of those. Yeah. And she's actually into it a lot. I've never actually seen the first episode, so that's awesome. I have seen subsequent episodes with her, so I kind of know where that goes. Yeah. But it is very, it is just, through the most recent episode that I've seen, it just is very sort of stupid. Will Forte is just like a dumb comedy mallet. Yeah. And it just smashes you in the forehead, right. Over and over again. You either think that's funny or you don't.
Right. I've seen stuff that it's totally cracked me up with, and others I've just been like a lot of those SNL dudes, or it's a very hit or miss, or some of it's great, and then I'm just like, what the fuck? This is not funny at all. But yeah, he nails it. I wonder the how it could last kind of thing, where I could see the humor wearing off quick. But maybe they spice it up.
I think they in the episode, they subsequently kind of find other people who have survived. Mary Steenburgen is in later episodes.
And I saw January Jones, who's the blonde chick from the Betty from Mad Men. Yeah. So, and the super beautiful. And I have my suspicions that right on the heels of him being engaged technically to he's gonna stumble across this
he's the
most beautiful chick in the world. So, and she's gonna give him shit. It's we're married. It's gonna be that whole dynamic. Probably that would be my guess on what's going on.
I think your guess may be good. Maybe.
But yeah, I think I'll watch another. I'm curious. But the only questions I had that maybe you see in later episodes. Do they ever explain what the fuck the virus or whatever it was that there's no bodies anywhere?
No, they don't ever. That I've seen.
What the fuck?
They don't spend any time on that, because it's not
Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's not a Walking Dead. We're we gotta figure out what happened. Who's patient zero? It's not World War Z. It's just that is just a thing that happened and let the show be right. In existence. So.
Yeah, I can live with that. I think, cool. Well, I appreciate that episode. I will probably watch at least one more.
Maybe someday.
We'll see. At least to see January Jones. We'll see what happens. Shall we move on then to our non-visual media?
I think we should take a pee break.
Piss break.
Gavin never has to pee.
Hold it like a camel.
But Gavin also has played many of the rock and roll shows on stage where you probably can't just be hey, gotta go pee.
Yeah. Between rock and roll shows and teaching middle school kids in Genova, where you have to clean your hands, take off your jacket, walk out of the room, I'd rather piss my pants.
You're just Christ, I'm just gonna wait.
It's gonna be 15 minutes by the time I get back.
Much rather just feel the outside edges of my bladder pushing against other parts of my body. But on to the next thing.
Yes. Yeah. So our next selections, we went to non-visual oriented. Well, I guess you still have to see them to look at them, but
and it's that sort of wisdom that it's going to keep you coming back for episode 7.
Exactly. So, not so much yours. I guess if you don't care about album covers, assigned Craig a record from 85?
I think it's 85. Yeah, 85 or 86.
Yeah, 85.
The Replacements
October
album.
85.
Tim.
Yeah. What'd you think? Had you heard it before, I guess? I wasn't sure.
I have heard it before. Okay. I am of the age that I would have heard it before.
Yeah, it seems like you not. I wasn't sure. But
yeah, but it's been a real long time. I will say, my initial sort of the top layer of the onion takeaway is that it's a weirdly schizophrenic album. It's all over the place. It's the opposite, and this is this is not a great analogy because they sort of post-date the Replacements by quite a bit, but like Everclear. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you like, Swim Out on the Ocean, blah, 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 like every other song on that album and the subsequent albums will sound exactly like that. You know exactly what you're in for. The Replacements, just the album Tim, I'm not saying any of the songs are bad, but you do not know what's coming next.
What's happening? Yeah, a band in flux. It's and this is a particularly transitional one, I think. I mean, they're kind of in it, but at the same time, there's a lot going on as far as... Because I knew I wanted to give you a Replacements album, but I wasn't sure what the best one would be, and this was kind of the
Tim
one.
it's
flat in the middle there. Just
and there are great songs that, like, Little Mascara is a great song.
Yeah.
And I like Swingin' Party to me is a great song. Like, if I had to pick one hit from the album, it would be Swingin' Party.
That was your favorite one?
It is a great song. Like, lyrically, and like, for those out there who don't know, Gavin writes and records his own music, and that song is actually somewhat reminiscent of Gavin's songs to me, like that made me think of some of your music. So perhaps I was just predisposed.
Flattering, but they're a huge influence for sure. Like I can't imagine ever writing anything like that. But
then you've got it's just like there's it swings from like sort of shitty arena rock that is still kind of enjoyable to like stuff that makes you think of like Nirvana. There's stuff on here like there's
so many bands that pulled from them, and I think they are because they were like the quick version. If anybody isn't familiar with their whole story, I guess is just that super punky band, young as shit when they got rolling. So like their first few albums were just like straight up punky, and then they start gravitating more towards like Tim stuff, and then like Paul Westerberg just actually starts writing really good songs, and that's kind of the bigger pull that I think like threw the band off its hinges a bit in the sense that he actually starts like writing good songs, and then like by the end of the Replacements career, there he's actually like just writing straight up kind of pop, like alternative pop songs, and the rest of the band's like, well, what the fuck happened to her? So they're kind of a divided fan base too. I think like a lot of people started to turn around this time because like punk fans were like, it's not punky enough. But there is still some on this record that are just like straight up like sloppy fucking punk songs, and like, and then there's just true signs of like great songwriting too. So it's weird. Did you get that kind of hodgepodge of everything?
Yeah, like it's just it takes like there are songs that just take like weird turns. Like Bastards of Young is a great song, but then at the very end it just takes this turn where it's just like this. It suddenly becomes like this like Washington D.C. like bare bones punk. Like and it's not even it's not even that it's incongruous. Yet at the same time, like you're just like, why did they just? Why is this on
just
here?
Wrap it up. Yeah.
Like,
it's so weird. Because they're not like the easiest. They're not like straightforward. Like Lemonheads were a huge influence, or like they inspired the Lemonheads a lot. But they're not like a lot of the like weird chord structures and stuff. Because I think especially early on, they were just kind of kids fumbling through guitars, so they're making up their own variations of chords and stuff. But like, there's some weird like chord shit going on and like strong song structure wise and stuff. So they're not like easy songs by any means. So, like just that whole like presentation of it, I think it just like makes it so unique. But,
and I've always like enjoyed it. Like I like Fugazi a lot.
Yeah.
And from one Fugazi album to the next, there are like you kind of have to learn to. You had to at the time. Maybe looking back on it now, or if you were just listening to them all as a discography right now, it would not be the case. But at the time, you'd get the new album and you'd be like, I kind of have to learn to listen to this, because it is not what the last one was, which was great about that band. And this one, it's so like
they
from
change
song,
it up from album now.
Yeah, like from song to song, you're just like, this is not like you go from like arena rock of like Dose of Thunder to where you're just like, what the fuck is this? It's like I kind of want to hate it, but I don't. And then you get into other songs where you're like, Swingin' Party is a great song. Like it's a really great song, but it has very little to do with the song that's probably 2 songs before it on the album. Like, it's really weird.
Yeah, and I think that kind of sums them up in general too. Where they're like, I'm really looking forward. I just got I think it's Troubled something. There's like a new biography, newish, last few years of like just their whole actual story. There's been a few other biographies out, but I'm like dying to read it because they're just like such a weird band of dudes, and like they were like the kind of staple example of like a band where you see them one night, even in their prime, it would be the best show anyone in the room's ever seen, and then like you see them the next night, it's like literally the worst night. I mean, they were like had a lot of like just drinking. That was problems interesting. And shit, but
reading about them online and stuff, like or watching videos online, like so many, you'd see little videos and stuff online, watch them, and they're just a fucking mess.
They're like. They really perfected the art of like messy rock, which was weird because that would be common in like the 90s, but this is like 85, and it was like what a huge influence all those like Nirvana and Lemonheads, all those guys, because they were like there really weren't many like guitar bands in the 80s even that were doing this shit in particular, especially if it wasn't just straight up punk, because they kind of were on the tail end of all the punk stuff and just in a weird place at the right time and weird musicianship. But I mean, just like their carelessness was kind of their like characteristic in a sense, or like just like the people were like, oh no, they could do anything, and I guess that always appealed to me.
True, it's great. Like Bastards of Young is like is simultaneously sort of like my favorite album on the song because it is very much an 80s song. Yet at the same time, it's just this sort of timeless song, more so than any of the others on the album to me. And it's like occupies this sort of like very much of its time and very much timeless position. Like,
it's weird because it is guitar-y. I mean, it sounds a little dated. There's definitely a few that sound more like 80s rock than others, but like I mean, if a band covered those songs or if they just played them now, they would sound totally fine. But it's just more the production and stuff, which was weird. You catch it was the Tommy Ramone, like the drummer.
Really?
Yeah, the drummer from the Ramones, like produced it, and he was the last living Ramone. They're all gone, I think now, which is sad. But, it's a weird album. Like their original guitarist, who was like this awesome, reckless, guitarist Bobby Stinson. And like his little brother was the bass player that's still around, but like this is the last album with him. So
he died. Bob Stinson.
He was
years ago.
A mess,
I think.
But it was like even shortly after they had to kick him out just because he was a mess kind of deal. And it was not cool, but he was I think they like still have put out great albums after him, but a lot of people stopped giving a shit after he left, this is the last album with him on it, which was Left of the Dial and stuff. Was on there. And
Left of the Dial is the song that having not listened to this in a long time, Left of the Dial and Kiss Me on the Bus are the two songs that I recognize most, and I think that must be like I think people cover Left of the Dial.
Bastards Young and. And that's around the era where they finally got on SNL too, and then they got banned. They were like one of 3 bands, I think, that were banned.
You can't ever be on our show again.
Cursed and were just a bunch of dicks apparently, or something. But
do you really think it gave a shit? Oh, I guess.
And eventually, Paul Westerberg got on there as a solo act. It was.
I do think at the most surface level, like Paul Westerberg's vocals are what make the band. Because like a handful of songs on this album, like Hold My Life and just some of the ones that people don't know that well, are like really just sort of made by the distinct quality of his vocals. Like the songs themselves, like if anybody else did them, you'd just be like,
totally. And the fact that like that last one I love, Here Comes a Regular, it's basically just an acoustic song. Which again, like, totally pisses off the punk fans. Like, how the fuck do you... That's a very Lemonheads thing to do when you're a 90s rock band and you, like, finish the album with, like, an acoustic song.
And there we go.
It's like, all right, but how do you go out on that note? But it's such a beautifully written song that just shows that he'll, like, go on to do that, in so many fashions. So, I don't know. You a big Replacements fan? I wasn't really sure. Would you hear more of their shit?
I would definitely listen to more albums, and I definitely have listened to them with friends and stuff, you know,
and stuff.
Right, yeah, like, you know, when I really started listening to music, I didn't grow up in a house where we listened to a lot of, you know, music, and certainly not parents who were musical fans. So I was, you know, 18, 19 years old, and really started listening to music, and it was stuff like Fugazi, and then, you know, hey, check out Mind Threat, and, you know, related stuff. But, you know, definitely those friends were like, yeah, you should check out the Replacements, and, you know, I mean, it all kind of fits in a weird sort of, you know.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They'd be just punky enough where you could dig it with the songwriting. Like, I always love my punk with a strong dash of good, catchy songwriting. Yeah. You know, like, I always like the ones like even Misfits, you know, where I was like the early shit when it's like a catchy song that you can play on an acoustic guitar if you wanted to, but at the same time, you know, it makes for a great punk song, you know? So, yeah, I recommend their, like, greatest hits, actually. Even though it's cheesy to say that. And they have great albums, but their albums are so, like, all over the fucking place a lot of times that the greatest hits are pretty...
More so than most bands. It seems to be sort of schizophrenic,
Go. Well, let's move on.
On to the next thing.
The graphic novel.
I assigned to Gavin from Marvel Comics a graphic novel called The Sentry.
Is this a collector's item, by the way?
No.
Bad even reading comics. I know nothing about
It's not at all valuable other than whatever value reading it, you know, sort of gave to you.
Shit, I smeared peanut butter on page 5 by accident.
It's all right, yeah.
I think I kept it in good shape, but I really went out of
The Sentry is a relatively new and marginal character.
So new. That's what...
Relatively new, yeah. Like, they sort of create this sort of mythos in which...
That's all bullshit?
In which the Sentry has been around or was an idea long ago. Okay. Not really the case.
Because there's an interview at the end of this one with Stan Lee where I think they probably say a lot of that, but I on purpose didn't read it because I thought it'd be funner to ask you the questions and shit. Right. So, like... But yeah, I was like super curious because it's a thicker graphic novel. There is like, you know, references to old shit in it, like where like he might be like the first superhero ever, and especially in the Marvel catalog and stuff. And like, I'm like, all right, well, clearly this was just some like kind of underdeveloped character from like the super early days, and then they like put this together. But then there's like. It's kind of like a greatest hits compilation almost, where it's like you have like the basis of the story, and then they like flash back, and it's like it's what seems like shit that they just pulled from old comics in there, and then they recap it at the end and pull it all together. So is that accurate? Are those parts are they actual old comics?
They are not. I think the first sort of public introduction of the Sentry was a sort of drawing that they kind of supposedly found in the Marvel vaults. You know, so and so and Stan Lee created this character.
Outtake?
Like it was a character that's created, but they never used and never made it. And he's the secret original Marvel character, and you know, and that came out in. What was it called? There was a comic book, anyway, you know, comic book nerd magazine or whatever. Marvel Universe, whatever. Sort of magazine. You know, this new character, and I think a lot of people go like, "Oh, that's interesting. That's cool." And you know, here's this new comic, and what's this story about? But ultimately, I mean, he's a new character. He's very sort of derivative of Superman. Which
that's what I was going to say.
You could argue all superheroes are derivative of Superman. Or
he's like Batman. The Marvel Superman, because he just seems like so powerful.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Like, well, I can stop the world from spinning.
So they just sort of like They just sort of introduced it, because that's a word.
He deuced it.
Yes, I deuced everywhere. They introduced him. You know, in this sort of like from the Marvel vaults, the Sentry. What is he? Who is he? And then, but it was really just sort of like none of that was really genuine. And it was just sort of a setup to this character where they wanted to tell this sort of self-contained miniseries of, you know, what if there were this Superman character, and what if there was this flip side to that?
Because there's a few like pages where they even flash back to like covers and stuff. Those are all fake?
Those are fake, yeah. And the interesting thing about it, and what sort of ties it back to the OA is that like both the OA and the Sentry sort of take these like constructed in their construction, these turns in their narrative that sort of seat you into the story as the viewer or the watcher or the reader. So, having the credits and stuff at the very end or very nearly end, right after the main character has asked you to listen to this story in the OA, are similar if you're a comic reader, which you are. I mean, you've read comics, but you're not a comic reader. This story sort of says, hey, we just discovered this character who's this guy, he's waking up. That's the initial sort of, the spoilers, I guess, for the Sentry. This guy named Bob wakes up and he's, struggling with addiction. He drinks too much. His wife isn't happy. He's got a dog.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty much all he has. And he starts waking up to this other self. And he learns through the course of this first issue that he is this character called the Sentry, the most powerful, superhero in the Marvel universe, who is
started it all. Basically,
he started it all. He knows the Fantastic Four, he knows the Hulk, he knows he knows
saved
Spider-Man.
all their asses on numerous occasions.
And he has been erased, and it's this mystery of why have I been erased? Who did this to me? Why did this happen? What was my life?
Because of the void.
Yes, because the void, and the void, in his life is that he is not this thing anymore, and he's an unhappy person, an unfulfilled person, and the void sort of represents that.
On the surface, they present the void or represent the void as like this black mass that comes
this
in.
Horrible, destructive
sucks
force.
Your soul out. And comes out of space basically and sucks you. Basically, Genova.
Yes, yes.
And then he's like, "It's coming back. That's why I got to get the whole band back together.
Yeah,
fight this fucker."
And as you progress through subsequent issues, you start to sort of peel back that mystery and understand, how is he the first superhero, the greatest superhero, and yet not a superhero at all anymore? And you sort of see, there are very sort of obvious, there are covers, that they have created for past issues that are lost because he's been erased for very. So
that kind of plays off the erase thing too. That's clever.
Like Rob Liefeld from the '90s, or sort of Sal Buscema from the the '70s or '80s or stuff, and it sort of seats you in the narrative because you're aware that it's showing you covers that you would have seen if the Sentry were a Marvel Comics character that had been erased. Then you would have been able to look back on this whole backlog of comics and this is very 80s, this is very 70s, this is very 90s, and it sort of seats you in the narrative, so you're aware of the narrative, but at the same time, being aware of that is what takes you along for the story. And for me, what I thought of as being similar, though I wasn't aware of it at the time because I hadn't seen the OA. The OA kind of like sets you down and says, "Hey, I need you to trust me. I need you to close your eyes. I need you to watch this story." And this is essentially asking you to do the same thing.
You're pulling for this dude. You're like, well, why the fuck don't they remember him? What happened?
And what happened?
Because he's going to basically Mr. Fantastic from Fantastic Four, and he's at his wedding and shit. And
he's
all these people that were clearly part of his life, and none of them remember him, but they're all kind of on board with the idea of something must have happened. None of them are just you're a total dick.
Yeah,
but they're
you're a weirdo in a cape and you're flying.
Why are you? They know that something must have happened to erase him from their memories, and And I love that they kind of play the angle where you kind of have it in the back of your head too, where it's like, well, maybe he is just nuts. Like,
yeah,
he's just like a total nut, which it should be in every superhero comic, like the whole Monty Python Holy Grail angle, where the whole last scene's just them escape from a lunatic asylum. It's like, if they just arrested Spider-Man at any point and be like, you're just nuts, you're imagining all this, like none of this is real, and would be like, okay, but it's the cop out. But yeah, so I don't know, I dug it. It was pretty weird though. I had a lot of questions because I thought those were like throwback, like a character. Yeah. And I was like, well, what the hell? But that was the question I had. I was like, oh, they clearly, because he ends up erasing himself, basically. And he says that even, like, the void was too much. So I programmed this thing to erase myself. But there's even, like, throwback comics where that would have happened in, like, the 70s or early 80s or something. But then it's like, I was like, well, did Marvel just like sit on this for like, fucking 15 years or something? Like, that's pretty epic if they like.
Did they just what the fuck?
It totally makes more sense that it was never real, But it was like, oh, okay. Because, I was just like, damn, that was like elaborate as shit. Like, they were just. Because then, I thought maybe they just killed him off or something because he was kind of goofy superhero.
Right.
Like, in a sense where he's too powerful. He almost can't have. Somebody like that's Superman's problem in my book is he's how the hell are you gonna stop him? I mean, there's no like real threat of him ever getting killed or anything, even though I guess he does in something. But
whatever.
whatever.
Yeah.
but this dude was pretty fascinating. I was into it.
I thought like the Sentry's main, and the reason why he was so good in a limited series like that was that he's really interesting in relation to other characters. Like Peter Parker gets like when he
the Void, who should be acknowledged, I guess.
Yes, the Void. I mean, we are spoiling everything. The Void and the Sentry are one and the same. Like you cannot have the great good of the Void without the awful evil of the great good of the Sentry without the awful evil of the Void.
So did you catch that, listener? The Sentry and the Void,
they're one and the
nemesis,
same.
Is the same person.
Yes.
The end of the graphic, now he goes, I am the Void.
I am the Void.
And that's where it turns. But the Void apparently like penetrated Spider-Man.
Yes.
In a very
graphic
way. And
horrible
and what
way.
he does, I guess he like throws like some kind of like fucking lobster claw to him or tentacle through his and sucks out a little bit of your soul, but not all of it. Maybe just a little bit.
Just a touch.
Just a little touch so you don't quite feel like yourself. And he did that to the Hulk. He kind of raped the Hulk a lot.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of like kind of weird rape shit going on.
Yes. Like it's very and like he's interesting and mostly in his relation to other characters. Like, Peter Parker had this Pulitzer Prize and he was successful and he wasn't struggling photographer, student, whatever, living with Aunt May or whatever. Those things are like really interesting. I mean, the Sentry in and of itself is only interesting, is only fun in relation to the other characters and the sort of setup that they create, through this, all this history is gone. Well, this history never existed until we made this, but it is what we created for the story. That's what the story is. Now, subsequently, they, in Avengers comic books, I think primarily Avengers comic books, they brought the Sentry back, and he kind of goes crazy and ape shit. And like,
recently?
Yeah,
okay. That's what I was going to ask. Is this the defining?
To me, this is like they should have
the whole.
And I think the people who did this story, like this should have been it. Like this collected series of issues should have been it. And if you were going to do anything else with the Sentry, it really would not advance. You're just really at that point, you're just like saying, what if Superman was in Marvel Comics, and he ends up going like fucking crazy and ripping people in half, and he's like a pawn of Norman Osborn, who's the Green Goblin and shit. Like it really just kind of got turdy, There you go.
Turbulence.
Got turdy.
Got turbulence. Some turbulence.
The hallmark of a good podcast is people who are really articulate.
It is.
Yeah, so it got turdy. Like it could have just been this and it would have been perfect.
That's how most things are.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's like, "Oh, that did well." And
it's like the Ghostbusters
cool.
remake.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's a
whole other podcast.
But yeah, I mean, I see that, and that's what was weird. That was like kind of my takeaway from it too, was that it was weird in the sense that I dug it and I got the twist at the end was cool, but then it was like, well, we kind of just ended up exactly where we started. Where at the end of this, he has to like erase himself again. Mm-hmm. He's like, so it's kind of like one of those deals. It was like, well, basically, we're exactly where we were when this started.
Yeah.
None of this was really necessary.
Yeah, nobody, he doesn't find a way to, divest himself of the void.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. I thought, to me, as somebody who's read many more comics and continues to read comics, I thought, what would be interesting would be to take, the sidekick character.
Yeah. The dude with the arm?
With the missing arm.
Yeah, what the fuck is up with that guy? Is he a real character?
No, he's just the sidekick of the Sentry.
And they weren't even too clear about him in that. I actually had to backtrack because he's a blonde dude.
Yeah.
I was like, well, what the fuck? Was this a flashback? I thought it was the same dude. I thought it was Bob.
So the Sentry
has
a sidekick. I think the Sentry
he's his Robin kind of deal.
Right, yeah. And the Sentry, part of his powers, or part of his sort of group of powers, is that he can share some portion of his power with somebody else. Mm-hmm. So he gets this sidekick called Scout. Oh. And he's got, the watchtower, and he's got the whatever car, and he's got the dog called the watchdog or whatever. Well, Scout got his arm ripped off by the Void, who is the Sentry, and stuff.
They never really show that, though, right? It seems like he got run through, but they never show the whole...
Yeah, I think that was where he... where he kind of gets horribly maimed and stuff. And he sees him later, and he sort of vaguely remembers him, And, I thought, if you're going to make a continuation of this, it's going to be... Yeah, I'd love a dog and a cheese. The weird part is, his wife, Lindy, who's married to this drunk,
She turned on him pretty quick.
Yeah,
She did,
but at the end, she's they go to visit, they go to this restaurant, and, it happens to be that Scout, whatever his name was, PD,
back flipping burgers.
Flipping burgers and stuff, and, Bob's busy staring at him because he
remembers.
He vaguely remembers him. But, Lindy is I'm just one person, but I'm going to have a quadruple cheese patty 30 burger and 70,000.
He's like, I only got one arm.
I can't make the double patty.
So many cheeseburgers. Yeah, there's a lot of shitty people around this guy.
It's really kind of sad.
Even his little dog. What was up with the dog? Because he hints that there's some super dog shit going on.
Yeah, I think that his dog also had some of his powers, super intelligent. And sorry,
bro. Yeah, it's that's why I just assumed this is some they're just trying to write off, but acknowledge some stupid shit from the '60s or something like it.
Right, and I think that the sort of addition
Wonder Dog.
Yeah, you're there's a dog and he's got a sidekick and he's got to baby him and stuff. That. I think all those things are very sort of Silver Age, additions.
Do you think they threw that in on purpose?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think so. Yeah, I think they were very deliberate and clever about their construction, and I think the culmination of it actually really sort of it's a sad story. This dude is suffering and screwed up because he is missing, a huge part of himself. But that has to be the case because if he doesn't, then horrible things are going to happen. That balance out. It's all about balance, right? So as much good as he can do, the Void will do bad. And that can't be because that bad is too costly. Even and to me, the graphic novel tells the whole story.
Yeah.
And that they continued on with the character later is just,
dumb sequel.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, that was really successful, and it was, people liked it a lot, and it was cool.
Is this considered a pretty successful and popular graphic novel? Then?
I think so, yeah. I mean, to me, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was really.
Do they hint at much like PTSD in superheroes? Is this like a new territory, or is this? Because that seems like there's a lot going on with that in this.
Yeah, you would.
But I mean, it seems like Batman might have like a few episodes.
Yeah, or like Captain America. It's really seems shit and stuff. But I don't know that you really see a lot of that. Maybe with characters like they brought back Bucky, Captain America's old sidekick. He's actually been in a couple of the movies and stuff.
Along those lines, do you think have they hinted at any like movie stuff with this guy?
I would. They have not.
They haven't like even dropped any lines that you caught in the Avenger movies or anything?
But I do think like there's no like little Easter eggs or anything like that. But I mean, moving forward, I think like the third Avengers movie,
eventually they'll get to him.
Like surely they're gonna run
Avengers 8. They're gonna
they're like, oh, you know, somebody.
All right, let's do it. Let's bring that fucking one-armed bitch in and his dog.
Yeah, I mean, it is like a story that maybe would be worth telling in the context of an Avengers movie, maybe not in its own solo movie, but. I don't know. Like, I think people would find it. I mean, it is derivative, and it is maybe a little. Like, I don't know that people really want to see that story of the superhero.
I could see it working into the. I didn't see Doctor Strange, but he had a lot to do with it, and I could see it like kind of working more into that Thor, Doctor Strange, because it's so like kind of. Like mythical almost, or it's like a little more overpowering than just like some fucking dude stopping a car from running somebody over. It's like
super tough.
Yeah, when you're stopping like universes from opening up and like swallowing you.
And I think that's
it becomes a little harder to like put that into a script.
Yeah, I mean those are the things that make like Superman is the first superhero. Batman is sort of the next superhero. The human guy with no powers, and those are the two sides of the coin, and everything else sort of copies one or both of those sides to some degree. But this story is, I mean, it like whatever powers he has maybe are fun or interesting, but they're just the side stuff. Like they don't really. Those powers, I mean, how often does he really use his powers in any way that you give a shit about in the story? Like he cannot really stop the void.
Do anything.
Right, like he can't stop the void. He doesn't defeat anybody.
He doesn't even like just stop a dude from like robbing the sick go.
It's more about like, this guy.
It's like the fucking universe is gonna eat my soul.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's a you problem.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Let's see. What do you have a actor in mind? Who do you think would play?
Who would?
Sentry.
If I had to cast him, I would not cast Mark Wahlberg.
No.
Even though he has the muscles.
Yeah.
Maybe
something very chiseled chin. They definitely allude to like an Aaron Eckhart kind of dude.
Ooh,
but
that would be good.
That must be like kind of an obvious choice, but like
the first person I thought of was Patrick Wilson. Do you know who that is?
Yes. Yeah, he'd be all right.
He was in some ghosty movies.
Yeah,
and he was in I think The Watchmen.
Yeah,
as the Night Owl. Though I've not seen that movie.
He's into that. He
could do it.
So graphic.
I think he's going to be in the Aquaman movie.
Oh, really?
With
so he'll be looking for more work.
He says, because there's definitely not going to be a sequel to that. Yeah, so somebody like that.
Maybe the blonde vampire dude from the vampire show.
Yes,
Blood,
or somebody from 50 Shades of Grey, but I didn't see that and I don't know the story.
Somebody sexy.
Somebody sexy yet awesome.
Very Nazi look.
I like a Patrick Wilson type to me makes sense because he's like he could easily play the sort of pudgy, drunk who's waking up, and also the superhero with incredible powers.
And that's another quick question. Like, what the fuck woke him up then?
Ooh. I don't know. The book is right here. Let's look.
I don't think it says.
Maybe it doesn't.
Because it was like, well, what the hell? If this is just like himself,
yeah,
that was kind of like
the first pages, like the actual sort of. Native,
he's like, oh fuck! Like it just comes out barreling.
That's
like
true.
Like the shit has been stirred. We're it's time to go.
Yeah. What? Like you know what? I have never really asked that question.
Like,
He's
why
back.
would that snap him out of it all?
That's weird. And like the first thing that really happens is he wakes up from what you assume to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
And he says he's back. So, void. Probably referring to the void. Yeah,
which is think. Himself, we find out later.
Yeah, so maybe...
Why now?
Yeah, why now? And maybe the more important thing is, I mean, maybe that sort of indicates that the void is the sort of real personality or the real power.
And they act like it's been a long time, but they never really say it. So maybe it's only been like a week.
It could be 2 days. Yeah, who knows? Because nobody remembers.
Yeah, so who knows?
Yeah, it says he's back. It's very sort of jagged and weird, and everyone is sort of staring at someone awkwardly, and what are you doing? And Mr. Fantastic kind of looks like he's got a comb over.
That's
the Hulk looks like a crappy brute, and I mean, it's like
I think the art. It definitely changes up. Was that intentional, or did they always just kind of divide it amongst these graphic novels?
I think they just intentionally were sort of mimicking art from the 60s/70s, the 80s/90s to sort of tell, because the 90s were big for like grim and gritty superheroes, and he's got a drug problem, and
so
he's
kind of
injecting drugs. And I mean, they very deliberately sort of did that sort of thing, and that's what I was talking about when, when the OA says, "I'm going to tell you a story. I need you to trust me, and I need you to close your eyes and listen to the story," and then they hit the credits at the very end. Like, you haven't really, as a viewer, even been aware that you didn't see the credits.
Yeah, you're like, oh shit.
Right. And then in this, as someone, if you're reading this and you're someone who has read a lot of comics, you're very much aware of the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, Rob Liefeld and his art and whatever. And it sort of says, okay, this is a character, this character secretly existed forever, and you don't know about it.
Yeah, when it throws back to those old Fantastic Four ones, it looks all kind of cartoony,
right? And then they're like, "Oh, this is I'm shooting up. I'm got a different costume, and I'm 90s and stuff." That's they are very deliberately playing upon how comics played out as a medium through those decades.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I think that. I guess that leads us to our alcoholic beverages as we wrap up this amazing episode. We have at least 12 bottles lined up in front of us.
Perhaps 13 to 15.
We did good. I finally gave in and drank the last one that I said I wasn't going to drink. But,
did you drink the whole thing?
I got a few sips.
Was it what? I'm really interested in that one. So
maybe I'll start there from the back end up. Let's do that. So Craig gave me a 6-pack of, let's see, I'll do the quick lineup like the All-Star baseball game. Green Man IPA. These are all North Carolina, mostly Asheville is what we're from. Green Man, we did an ESB, which I drank first, then a Hopium IPA from
some damn buddy.
Yeah, they put the Foothills. Then we had a strange one that we will discuss from Natahala, and it was
that would be.
I still don't know what the hell. It's a little Tennessee lager spelt weird. Rosy, floral, dry hopped.
Other adjectives.
Golden. There's a lot of words.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. Sister's Moon from Mother Earth, and we got this was a good refreshing one, the App Trail Extra Pale
from, spelled without an E,
another Natahala, and then topped off with a Highland, our super local one, Highlands. It was the Thunderstruck Coffee Porter, and that's a weird one for me because I'm not a dark beer dude.
No,
I don't like porters or much thickness. definitely coffee tasting.
No, was it actually?
Yeah. We're not gonna pretend we're wine aficionados or beer aficionados.
In fact, I'm going to go so far as to say I hope that neither of us says anything is hoppy.
It's hoppy.
It's really hoppy.
Tasty.
Nor in speaking of, I lost my train of thought. I don't ever want to say something was hoppy, and I don't ever want to be like, this is definite Hollywood movie trope. Because I know how to use trope, but I don't know what the fuck it means.
Yeah, I totally agree. And along these lines, I'm not even a craft beery dude. That's gotten a weird thing going on now. But I never drank any... I stuck to a lot of the major labels up in Virginia until coming to Asheville. We have declared ourselves Beer City.
Yes.
But I think that might be a self-declared thing that only us in Portland throw back and forth every year. I think it's like some kind of beer alliance.
You can't throw a rock without hitting a microbrewery.
Yeah, I don't really know what it means, but there's a lot of fucking breweries in Asheville. And I'm very grateful for that.
Yes.
I mean, they are delicious.
And they all have beer in them.
And I've gone to a lot of other smaller breweries and outside areas, and they suck.
That's not good.
So I do take pride in our local beer industry because a lot of these are really delicious. One of which is Highland Brewery, which is right down the road from our house. And we go there all the time. Great place to have a kid run around and drink delicious beer, but I don't often.
Areas.
Yeah, I don't often or ever order the Thunderstruck coffee.
Like
porter.
if you gave me choices, I would not.
Because it's like coffee and a porter.
Yeah, like I like coffee and I like beer,
but I don't really
need to cross
beer.
them. I've got in my 6-pack lineup a Highlands beer. The first one I drank was another Highlands. Okay. Like the coffee porter. The Southern Sixer IPA.
Which I think is relatively new.
Yeah, I've not had it before. And again, that's from right down the road. Mm-hmm. And then the another, which you had in your 6-pack, a Green Man ESB, which is also from very nearby here.
Yes.
The same Little Tennessee Lager. Logger lager. Yeah, and they've got a buzzsaw on the label there. Rosy Floral Dry Hopped Golden Ale, too many adjectives. And then High Wire, which is another local one, High Wire Lager. Yeah. They brew beer in the same premises as the now defunct Craggy Brewery.
Yes.
Where you
used to be Craggy.
Yeah.
A mango beer.
Yes, a mango beer, a jalapeno beer. Many of which would make you feel like you'd been punched in the forehead. Yeah, I've got a High Wire Brewing Bed of Nails Brown Ale. Yeah. And then a Sierra Nevada Peach IPA. Also, not originally a local company, but now a local company.
Yeah, they
very near here.
Brought it to our neighborhood, and yeah. Well, how should we do this? Should we just plow through them, or do you want to bounce back and forth? What do you say?
Well, we can bounce back and forth.
All right, we'll just do a quick synopsis. We're not going to Thunderstruck coffee. I don't want to drink coffee with my beer, but if I was going to drink a beer before work, this would be
which I would love to do. Yes,
so I'll drink it in the morning.
What you really say was detectably like,
it really did. Oh yeah, super coffee tasting. It really tasted like a fucking coffee beer.
Because a lot of times you get like the chocolate stout, and you're like, this is.
Stout, but not chocolate. I mean, it's literally fucking tastes a beer that tastes like coffee.
That's okay. I mean, I like coffee.
They hit their goal, yeah. Okay. I mean, that's what I mean. It's like you get a little jacked up and you get a little jacked down.
Okay.
So good on them.
That's right. The Southern Sixer IPA, I would say, was not bad at all, but it's very sort of typical IPA. Yeah. Like, it's like sort of very sort of prominent, kind of hit you in the mouth kind of flavor, and not bad at all. Right. You can get an IPA all over the place. So it's representative of the type. Yeah, not bad at all.
And then we bounce back to a Nadahala IPA along the same lines, a little more refreshing. I remember it kind of cutting through, maybe just been based on something else I drank but it's called the App Trail, based on the very popular.
People love to walk on that thing.
Like all fucking, the whole coast almost.
They're just like, I'm going to walk the whole thing.
Extra pale. Oh, this was a pale ale. This wasn't an IPA. So that's why it was a little more refreshing.
Extra.
Yeah, so it was extra pale. So it was a little bit more refreshing. I felt like it cut through. I was happy with that one. That's kind of more my wheelhouse. What do you got next?
I think the next one I had was the Green Man ESB.
Oh, yeah.
Also made around here. I found it to be, it's a little more moderate in flavor than the first IPA there. Not too sweet. It's not like real sickly sweet. It's not super duper, punch in the mouth. Kind of a bitter or anything. It was nice. Though I think ESB may stand for extra special bitter. I didn't find it to be super bitter. It was like drinkably nice.
Nice. It went down easy.
Yes.
Right on. All right, I went to the old moons after this one. Sister Moon for the ladies in the house.
Yes.
Mother Earth. There's a lot of earthy shit going on here, but I've had some other Mother Earth shit that was good. This is another pale. I liked it. It was like, I'm down with the pale ales lately. I love the IPAs, but they fuck up my brain cells a little too much. So they make I feel like I have a metal plate in my head and they give me a headache. They're delicious as shit, but like I'm sticking to the pales and like they
Interesting.
They're a little more refreshing. Like maybe just because I'm getting off the.
Maybe there should be a nice mayonnaise pale ale.
Yeah. We'll put that in the suggestion box. What else you got? Oh, I think our next two are the same one.
Yes, two are the same. I've got the little Tennessee lager.
Tennessee lager. Little bit rosy, little bit floral, dry, hopped, golden ale. Too many words.
Yes, yeah. It's like way too many adjectives, way too much description for a beer that is not objectionable at best. Yeah.
It's all right. We both were going on first sip, but I think it was just coming off the taste of the other ones.
It is.
Once I got into it, I was like, whatever.
Bryson City, North Carolina. I've been there.
Yeah.
It's a lovely town. You should visit. Mm-hmm. And this beer is not terrible at all.
No. But we drank it all.
Yes, we drank the whole... That's the sound of an empty beer bottle.
What else you got behind
Not great.
2 high wires?
Yeah, I got 2 high wires. I've got the first one here I had was the lager, and the second the Bed of Nails.
Nice.
The lager is sort of a good middle of the road beer, and the Bed of Nails is a bit reminiscent of say
nails in my mouth.
It's a brown ale, and it was kind of reminiscent of a Newcastle. So not bad. Yeah,
a little thicker,
a little thick.
Yeah, I'm loving high wire lately. They're real close to my kids' current daycare, so that always helps.
A lot there.
So we go there, and they always have a good selection there. They get a couple locations here in Asheville, and it's fucking delicious. They got some good stuff. I got the Hopium IPA going next, and it was a very standard IPA. I drank it and I enjoyed it. But it really, if you were going to hand me an IPA with a giant X on it and it said IPA, that would be it. It's just like,
just a black and white generic label.
Just like kind of salty, but I still enjoyed it. So, what was your finale beer?
My finale was the Sierra Nevada Peach IPA. It was not bad, but I mean,
was it refreshing? Did it taste like a peach?
It was refreshing, like maybe more refreshing than you would think an IPA was.
A good summer beer.
Yeah. But having said that, like it's there's only so much stuff on the label, and most of it is peach or IPA in huge letters, and like it's not at all peach. Which is good because I really don't want like a Kool-Aid beer. But then it wasn't particularly IPA either. It was just kind of like in fruit and hop ale. And it was just like another kind of like, this is not really a beer you would complain about.
Yeah. So we gave it to you, drink it, but you probably wouldn't seek it out.
Right. Like, I would never bother drinking again. If somebody gave me one, I would drink it and be perfectly fine with that. But fine with that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't... Why did you bother to make it?
Yeah.
Like, somebody made this and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is
peaches.
the perfect blend of peach and IPA." And it is neither. So.
Kind of lost in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool. They try a lot. They'll try some different shit. So you gotta give them credit, I guess. I rounded mine out with one that you had the same, the Green Man ESB. Which a little darker than I normally like to go, which I didn't really realize that ESBs tend to be a little thicker, maybe. But it was good. I enjoyed it. I like their IPA a little bit more.
Yes,
and they got a Pilsner that's real good now. But I love Green Man. That's another straight up local one here in town that I'm super on board with. But this might not be my favorite, but they did it well, so I give it hell yeah. 6 hell yeahs.
I give it 18 stars out of 24 stars.
I give it 12 bottles out of... They're all empty. So we drank them all. So let's be honest. We enjoyed them all.
Yeah, none of them were horrible.
But I guess that concludes our episode tonight. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back next time with some more, hopefully new and enlightening artifacts.
Yes.
We're going to assign each other some more stuff. And if you have any suggestions, send us things to assign. And be sure to
Twitter, Google.
I'm having a stroke right now.
Everything smells like toast.
iTunes, sign up on that shit and subscribe to us, and then go on over to the Facebook page and find us on there. You'll find some more tidbits and links to all these things that we talked about. And then on Instagram, too, you can find some cool pictures and other links.
You could probably find some sort of nude pictures of our pinky toes. It's pretty sexy.
Pull it up now.
Yes.
World Wide Web is waiting you.
#com.
Peace out. Thanks.
Right.
Enjoy.
Bye.